And as usual, Bayo Achoebi is already in the house. Welcome, Bayo. Good morning.
Thank you, Yusuf. Good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
Kinsley, what do you have there? You have the Punch,
I have the
Daily
Punch.
Trust.
I do have the Daily Trust.
Let's have the Punch first.
The Punch is busier
with
its many headlines and photographs on its window page. Now, from above the nameplate, you have the following headlines. Nigeria's total debt rises by 191 billion naira in 3 months, hits 33.1 trillion naira. That's page 21. Obasanjo carpets secession agitators, describes disintegration calls as idiotic. That's on page 7. 4 West African countries to buy Nigeria's idle electricity. 4 West African countries to buy Nigeria's idle electricity. That's page 21. Buhari inaugurates Lagos-Ibadan train service and security facilities today. And 2 earpieces beside the nameplate says 13 billion naira Ikoyi cash. Reps tackle NSA as Emefiele, IG, and others appear today. Abaribe kicks, and Senate screens Buhari's aide and others as INEC commissioners. And the list story has a double-decker headline and a number of riders. NBA, that's the Bar Association, readies 13-member legal team, and Lai Mohammed and Patami lead talks with Twitter. And the riders are as follows. Will defend any Nigerian undergoing prosecution for tweeting. Lawyer's body vows. Senate keeps mom on ban. Twitter must register with CAC, says federal government. Ignore Twitter suspension. Opposition National Assembly members tell Nigerians. And below the photographs there, those photographs are from Mumbai in India, by the way, after a downpour. Judiciary workers suspend strike. Berate El Rufai, Otom, and Lalong, page 7. Pay ransom and power kidnappers with ammunition. That's El Rufai's wife, page 9. Reps demand resignation of FIRS boss for shunning summons. 8 dead, 512 hospitalized in Plateau cholera outbreak. ASU fumes as gunmen kidnap unit just dawn, demand 10 million naira. Bandits killed 5 soldiers, 9 others, and 104 abducted. That's according to a resident of Zamfara. Honorable.
Oh, well, on the Daily Trust this morning, the front page has the following stories. And on page 4, 500 killed, 2,001 kidnapped. In my constituency, says a representative from Kebbi State. And on page 29, Federal Executive Council approves 895.5 billion naira supplementary budget for for military and COVID-19. On page 31, Biafra Odudu agitators are idiots, says Obasanjo. And the main story here on the Daily Trust is FG, Twitter, Facebook, others must get license from NBC. And the riders are as follows, 4 of them as such. It says registration with CAC mandatory for all of this. And despite making billions, Twitter pays no tax. The third rider is, they've contacted us for dialogue, says Lai Mohammed. And then Trump urges other countries to emulate Nigeria. That is in the ban on Twitter. Down below there on the page, you find INEC, Senate under attacks over resolution to screen Buhari's aide, Onoche, on page 32. And at the bottom of the page, there are 3 stories there. And they are Omo Agege, Abaribe declined comment as Senate marks 2nd anniversary. Details on page 8. On page 6, 21 killed in Jigawa, Edo Road crashes. And on page 18, despite darkness, Nigeria to sell unused power to 4 countries. But the picture there on the front page, from afar one looks as if it is a masquerade, but really it isn't. It is illegal firearms which were voluntarily surrendered, that is by civilians in Kenya for the government's amnesty since 2020, and they are there piled for being destroyed. They are going to be burned, or they are burned. That was from Kenya. But from far, one looks at this, it's a masquerade. Didn't you see that bio?
Yes. Yusuf, That is a pyramid of illegal weapons.
Absolutely.
Well, let's start with the good news that 2 strikes that held the nation for upwards of 2 months have been called off. The Judicial Staff Union of Nigeria have called off their industrial action, which began on 6th of April. The strike was declared on 6th of April over implication or non-implementation of the financial autonomy for the judiciary at the state level. Jusun called off the strike after its executive members met with the National Judicial Council, led by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Mohammed. In another development, the lecturers under the auspices of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics have also suspended their strike that lasted for over 65 days. The publicity secretary of the union, Abuja, says that the strike is suspended following approval of the gradual implementation of items on the memorandum of action signed between the association and the federal government. There has been a call for peace and reconciliation. This call has been made by the convener of the Nigerian Interfaith Initiative, Emeritus Cardinal John Onaika, and he has expressed worry that a heavy cloud of impending tempest hung over the nation, and people should not just sit and complain. He says we must find our way back as a country and look forward to reconciliation, peace, and national cohesion for a prosperous nation under God. The Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar III, also says that the Nigeria Interfaith Initiative for Peace will go beyond restoring peace and solving crises in state elections, but it will go on to build a nation that is peaceful and is reconciled. Former head of state, General Absalami Abubakar, who also urged the group not to be silent and to continue to pursue the cause of peace and peaceful coexistence across the country. There have been mixed reaction about the suspension of the blogging site. The Honorable Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, says the blog site that was suspended last week has made overtures to engage with the federal government. He says a high-level discussion is expected to resolve the issue. He stressed, however, that the platform was suspended because it proved to be an avenue for people threatening the corporate existence of Nigeria. He cited 2 instances. He said the owner of the platform helped fund NSAS protests. It also allowed the leader of the proscribed IPOB to use the blogging site platform to call for the killing of policemen. And in spite of repeated requests, the blog site failed to take down those tweets. The minister indicated, however, that the blog platform and others henceforth will have to be registered in Nigeria. He clarified that the freedom of speech has not been stifled, as Nigerians can use other platforms. But meanwhile, the Minority Caucus in the National Assembly has issued a statement calling on Nigerians to ignore what he described as the ban on the blog platform. The statement signed by the Senate and the House minority leaders said the suspension of the platform would not be contravening any law, and therefore Nigerians should go ahead and use the platform. The Minority Caucus says that it is pained by the anguish that it caused Nigeria, especially the youth who use the platform as a means of livelihood. So, different strokes for different folks, but the cause of the purpose all is towards the fact that even the blog is now available and there will be dialogue. At the end of the day, there will be a way forward and the discrepancies will be reconciled. President is expected in Lagos this morning.
Move on to the other issues. There is a story about the suspension of the strike that was commenced by Judiciary Workers Union. That they started the strike on the 6th of April. They have called off the strike and they say that they are going back to work on Monday. They called off the strike yesterday.
Yeah.
So there's no work on Thursday and there's no work on Friday. I mean, let's be realistic. There's no work on Thursday, there's no work on Friday. And part of what some governors have done, and some of these governors, they have been berated by the Jusun officials themselves, is to say that, look, they stopped the payment of their salaries. So if you are also canvassing the payment of your salary will it include the days
that you didn't go
to work?
After
you have since
called
called off
strike.
your strike, so you are giving about a 5 or 7 day notice before you now resume. So there's no work on courts sit on Thursdays. Courts also sit on Fridays.
Well, sometimes strike is used to hold the nation to ransom. Unfortunately.
No, well, I think these are some of the things. Sometimes, you know, it's because all of these things happen because there are no consequences that ordinarily should arise from the faithful implementation of the provisions of the law. No work, no pay.
After all, after staying for 65 days without work, you still feel you can still add additional more days, even if the strike is called off. Anyway, that's it. My concern is about this story of selling this power, to 4 West African countries, Niger, Benin, Togo, and about 2,000 megawatts, I learned, is going to be sold. And these are called unused or unutilized, power in Nigeria. I can't understand. I don't know. What's really unused there? Does it mean that we don't use it, we don't need it, or they are being generated, unused, not being distributed?
Under some terms of agreement, there is power supply that Nigeria makes to Benin Republic and Niger, and they pay for those services. This is because Kainji Dam, that is dammed on the River Niger, passes through these countries, and they also had a prerogative to dam the same river, and there was a long-standing agreement and for the services for which they pay. Now, talking about this surplus power now, the tendency is that...
it surplus?
Yes, it has to be surplus in the sense that the quantum of power that is generated is about, let's say, about 5,000. But the quantity that is transmitted or used to the domestic is less than that. So the surplus that is not used, because we don't have capacity to transmit all what is generated, that is what they are probably proposing to sell to these countries. It will sound worrying to any Nigerian to hear that, look, we are suffering power outage because it doesn't appear to be sufficient power. And now here are we selling what is described as surplus power. I think that is your anxiety.
That is it, but the issue here is one wonders if you can still sell power and we can't really get the generators or the distribution mechanism to have the surplus distributed to Nigeria. I mean, it's a cause for worry for Nigerians because a lot of Nigerians will be asking questions, why can't we therefore do everything needful in order to get the needed machinery in order to distribute this power to Nigerians first? Let's have it enough and let's have it abundant so that we can now sell the rest that is called really surplus. And surplus in the terms or in the means of the word surplus.
Nadabo, maybe you and Bayo, maybe you will have a better understanding of the story. I have read it, I'm struggling to understand it. So let me take some paragraphs from it.
Go ahead.
It says the power we will be selling is the power that is not needed in Nigeria.
Wow.
It says the electricity generators that are going to supply power to this transmission line are going to generate that power specifically for this project. So it is unutilized power.
Well, so
he said Nigeria was expecting new generators to participate in the energy export for 875 kilometer, 330 kVA North Core transmission line from Nigeria to that. In addition, there are some communities that are under the line route, about 611 of them, which will be getting power. So there won't just be a transmission line passing without impact.
By what
I don't understand. So anyway, let's put it this way.
Full of words, empty, signifying nothing.
Well, yeah, because the story is quoting an official.
Yeah.
I think that what is important is going forward for the Ministry of Power to explain this. As you rightly pointed out, there's a pre-existing agreement between Nigeria and some of our neighbors, more particularly Niger, Benin Republic, and I think Burkina Faso also, for Nigeria to sell power to them on account, of the long-standing state agreements that were reached in the past. But this one, to say unutilized power, is this stranded power? Is it? I don't. As I said, and gentlemen, I read it. Do you understand it? Do you understand it?
Oh, whatever.
I don't.
Maybe the details will be coming out much later.
Precisely. They should clarify it so that you cannot say that the power is you cannot say it is unutilized. Because on the one hand, the transmission capacity by way of network expansion is being improved upon tremendously. And Siemens is also supposed to play a role in all of this because we were told that the transmission loop was inadequate for the country. And even when power is being transmitted through the network, you also have some losses so that what gets to the discos is... So at some point, we are told that we generate about 5,000 or 7,000.
There was a time we reached 7,000.
7,000. Then sometimes
that's what you generate, but what was transmitted is far less than that.
It's less than that. So because there are losses. So
our major problem is the distribution of this power.
Yes.
I mean, the energy we
transmitting and distribution.
So what is being I don't know. So so it doesn't become a case again of saying that, you know, that we are exporting what we have, and then we are importing we are importing what we have, and is it that we are importing what we have and exporting
what we don't have.
What we don't have. Yes.
Anyway, Bayo, thank you so much. Tomorrow is going to be another day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We'll now take a break. We'll continue after it. Stay with us.